The camera pans across the dazzling set of World Leaders Now, the most watched political broadcast on Earth. Inside the ultra-modern, glass-paneled international news studio in Geneva, hundreds of reporters, diplomats, and world figures buzz with energy. Millions are watching live. Tensions are already high. Inflation, war, inequality, all on the table. At the far left of the studio sits Captain Ibrahim Traoré, quietly composed in a tailored charcoal suit. Not in uniform this time. He doesn't smile. He doesn't blink much either. He's the youngest president in Africa, and his calm is intimidating. Suddenly the moderator smiles and invites young Barron Trump, now a confident teen public figure, onto the stage. "I think it's time young voices speak up," she says. The crowd claps. Barron walks in, charming, tall, smiling. But he doesn't look at Ibrahim, not once. And then it happens. As the moderator asks Ibrahim a pointed question about Africa's independence, Barron interrupts, mocking. "Well, maybe if your countries stopped blaming the West for everything, you'd finally grow up." A few snicker. Some gasp. Ibrahim doesn't move. Not yet. But something in his eyes flickers. Barron leans back in his chair, arms folded. His smirk widens as more laughter breaks out. This time from a few Western journalists. "Just saying what everyone's thinking," he adds. The moderator clears her throat, caught between tension and TV ratings. Ibrahim is still silent. But now the camera zooms in on his face. His jaw is tight. His fingers are locked together. He looks at Barron, directly for the first time. Then slowly, methodically, Ibrahim stands up. The laughter dies instantly. The air in the studio stiffens like glass. Ibrahim walks toward the front of the stage. Calmly, no drama, no flinch. The microphone picks up the sound of his footsteps. Barron shifts nervously in his seat. Then Ibrahim turns, looks straight at him, and says only 4 words. "Sit down, kid." The silence is so sharp, you can hear a camera shutter drop. No one laughs now, not even the people who did before. One reporter whispers, "Did he just—" Yes, he did. But it wasn't anger, it was authority. And suddenly, Barron doesn't look so tall anymore. Within moments, clips of Ibrahim's simple response hit X, formerly Twitter, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok like wildfire. "Sit down, kid." The phrase trends globally in less than 15 minutes. Comment sections flood. That man just crushed a dynasty with 4 words. Chills. Literal chills. Ibrahim Traoré is him. Meanwhile, inside the studio, Barron's smile fades completely. He tries to respond, but the moderator raises her hand gently. "Let's allow President Traoré to finish." And for the first time that evening, the room listens, fully. Ibrahim doesn't gloat. He doesn't attack. Instead, he starts talking about what it means to lead, and how power without wisdom is like fire in a child's hand. The studio is frozen, eyes wet. Reporters scribble. Cameras capture every angle. Even Barron is listening. And somewhere backstage, Melania watches with her hand on her mouth. This wasn't about ego anymore. It had just become something far, far bigger than anyone expected. Backstage, the control room is in chaos. Producers are frozen. One whispers, "Cut to commercial?" But the director waves him off. "No, stay live. This is history." Meanwhile, on set, Ibrahim stands tall, eyes calm, hands behind his back. "Let me tell you a story," he says quietly. "Not about power, but about respect." The lights seem to dim, even though they don't. He begins talking about a boy in Burkina Faso, born during a blackout. His mother gave birth on a cement floor. No doctors, no running water. The boy's father worked 3 jobs just to keep a lamp on during his son's studies. The studio is dead silent. And that boy, Ibrahim continues, was told by the world that he would never lead, never matter. But he listened to no one. only to his people. Barron watches, chest rising and falling. His face changes. "I do not stand here because I shouted the loudest," Ibrahim says. "I stand here because I listened the deepest." The crowd begins to clap, but not for drama, for truth. And somewhere in the front row, an old African grandmother silently wipes her eyes. Outside the studio, streets across Africa light up. Market vendors stop their radios. Children watching on dusty TV sets hold their breath. Even in cities where electricity flickers, neighbors huddle together, eyes fixed on Ibrahim's face. He's not talking politics anymore. He's telling a human story. "You see," Ibrahim says, "we are often mocked, not because we are weak, but because we are unfamiliar. What they laugh at is what they do not understand." A tear runs down a reporter's cheek. A UN delegate clasps his hands. Barron shifts again. The smile is completely gone now. In its place, a quiet stare. Maybe confusion. Maybe something else. "I was once told," Ibrahim says, looking into the camera, "that African dignity could never fill a studio room like this. But here we are." The cameraman zooms in tight on his face, and the lens fogs. He wipes it. It fogs again. He's crying. The camera is crying. "I said sit down, not out of anger, but out of reminder," Ibrahim finishes. "A reminder that leadership isn't inherited. It is earned." That line echoes in every language. Back at his seat, Barron looks different. He's not angry. He's not smirking. He's quiet. The moderator looks at him gently. "Would you like to respond, Mr. Trump?" He picks up the mic slowly, and then pauses. In that pause, the whole world seems to lean forward. "I came here thinking I understood strength," Barron says, voice shaky. "I thought words made you strong." He glances at Ibrahim, but it's silence. Silence that holds the most weight. A single clap echoes from the back row, then another. Then the entire room rises, not in cheers, but in stillness. A standing ovation in silence. Ibrahim nods once. Nothing more. The moment is too big for pride, too real for politics. Backstage, a junior intern, watching on a side monitor, whispers, "I think the world just changed a little." She's crying too, and across social media, the words trend in dozens of languages. "Sit down, kid," the speech that broke the internet, and it's only the beginning. As Ibrahim quietly leaves the stage after the broadcast, he receives a call. It's from his mother. She doesn't ask about the cameras, or the trending hashtags, or the Western media. She asks him one thing. "Did you carry your father's name with honor today?" Ibrahim pauses. He doesn't speak right away. The car driving him back to his hotel is quiet. Then, softly, he answers, "Yes, Mama. I didn't shout. I didn't shame us. I just stood." His mother's voice cracks. "Then your father is proud." But as the car turns a corner, a crowd awaits him outside the hotel. Not protesters, not fans, just immigrants, refugees, cleaners, students, all waiting to say thank you. A young African boy walks up, holding a cardboard sign that reads, "He called me kid too, at school." Ibrahim kneels down. "And what did you do?" The boy replies, "I stayed standing." Tears fill Ibrahim's eyes, not because of the insult, but because dignity was finally contagious. Far away in a dusty schoolyard in Mali, a young girl named Aissata sits quietly as a teacher plays the viral video of Ibrahim's speech on an old laptop. Most of the kids don't speak English well, but they understand his eyes, his posture, the phrase, "Sit down, kid." The teacher pauses the video and turns to the class. What did he mean? Aissata raises her hand. He meant, know your place, not just you, but the truth. The class goes silent. At lunch, she's confronted by an older student who mocks her clothes and accent. She looks up and simply says, "I will not sit down." That clip, recorded by another student on an old phone, also goes viral. People begin calling it the sit-down movement. Back in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim watches the clip at night, alone. He wipes away tears silently. He never asked to become a symbol, he just told the truth. But now, children are standing up everywhere, and across oceans, even Melania Trump watches the girl's video and exhales deeply. There's a strange look in her eyes, almost like guilt. Back in New York, inside Trump Tower, a conversation unfolds behind closed doors. Donald Trump watches the broadcast on a massive screen. He leans back in his chair, annoyed. "You made us look weak," he tells Barron. "You let him steal the moment." Barron doesn't answer. Instead, he opens his phone and shows his father the clip of the African boy with the cardboard sign. Trump frowns. "He said you called him a kid at school," Barron says. "Dad, that's not what I meant. I didn't want to humiliate anyone." Donald narrows his eyes. "Then you should have won." But Barron shakes his head slowly and walks out. In his room, he opens a notebook. On the first page, he writes, "I don't want to be a shadow of power. I want to be a mirror of truth." He scrolls through Ibrahim's speeches, watches another and another, and that night, Barron does something unthinkable. He writes a letter to Ibrahim Traoré, not for the cameras, but to ask for something few in his family ever did. "Can you teach me what strength really means?" The envelope arrives 3 days later in Ouagadougou, sealed with a gold crest. No media, no announcement. Ibrahim opens it in silence. It's handwritten, neat cursive, short lines. "President Traoré, I watched the clip again. I see now that I didn't just disrespect you. I disrespected a generation that fought to be heard. I want to learn, not from books, but from people like you. If you'll have me, I'd like to come to Burkina Faso. Barron." Ibrahim closes the letter and places it on the table. For a moment, he doesn't speak. Then, without looking up, he says to his advisor, "Prepare the village. If he's serious, we'll show him what dignity feels like, not in words, in life." That night, as a dusty wind blows through his open window, Ibrahim remembers something his father once told him. "We don't raise our voices to be loud. We raise our lives to be seen." And he finally smiles. The sun blazes gently over the village of Yako, northwest Burkina Faso. A line of barefoot schoolchildren wait by the roadside, holding tiny handmade flags, not of countries but of values: respect, humility, truth. Barron Trump's black SUV finally arrives, escorted not by security, but by farmers on bicycles. He steps out slowly, unsure. He's dressed simple, no guards, no cameras. Ibrahim meets him at the gate of a rural school. There are no speeches, no microphones, just a handshake, firm, respectful. "Welcome," Ibrahim says. "Today you will learn without speaking." Barron nods. The first stop is the school's kitchen, where children take turns cooking their own meals because there's no full-time staff. Then the water line, where mothers wait hours in sun just to fill a plastic jug. Then a classroom, where 45 students share 12 books. Barron doesn't speak all day, but when one boy shares his only pencil with a friend, Barron looks away, trying to hide his tears, and Ibrahim whispers, "This is what strength looks like, not inherited, chosen." The day ends without a single photo, but the world would soon hear what happened next. Before sunset, Ibrahim leads Barron down a quiet path through the dry grasslands. At the end stands a crooked wooden cross. No name, no flowers, just a tiny rusted necklace hanging from the top. Barron asks, "Who is this?" Ibrahim's voice lowers. My little cousin, killed by hunger during the drought in 2016. He never got to see a school or own a shoe. Barron swallows hard. Why bring me here? Ibrahim looks at the grave. Because he had more dignity in death than some men ever find in power. Silence hangs. Your name opens doors. His name was never spoken outside this village, but today you stood at his grave. Barron kneels, not out of pity, but understanding. Something breaks inside him, not shame, not guilt, awakening. He places his hand on the wooden cross and says softly, I won't forget him, I swear. A breeze blows gently across the dry field, and for the first time, Ibrahim places a hand on Barron's shoulder, not as a critic, but as a man who believes change is possible. And behind them, the sun begins to fall. But something else is rising. The global news cycle explodes again, not because of another insult, but because of a photo. A journalist from CNN International, traveling through Burkina Faso, snaps an unexpected moment. Barron Trump, in worn jeans and dusty shoes, kneeling beside a barefoot village boy, helping him tie a broken sandal with string. The photo spreads faster than any press release. The headline reads, Barron Trump, humbled. The boy who sat down, now learning to stand right. Social media melts. Thousands of Americans argue in comments. Some scream it's staged. Others call it the beginning of something real. Meanwhile, Ibrahim remains silent. No statements, no interviews. When asked why, he replies softly, True change doesn't need permission. It needs proof. That evening, a video emerges, one no one expected. Melania Trump in her kitchen, watching the viral clip. Her voice trembling, she says, That man didn't embarrass my son. He helped him grow. I hope more boys meet men like Ibrahim. The world watches, and for the first time in weeks, there is no sarcasm, only stillness. Back in Washington, the West Wing is quiet. President Trump, not one for apologies, sits across from top aides, fuming. This is turning into a circus, he says. He's my son. He's not supposed to be kneeling in Africa. An aide leans forward carefully. Sir, he's not kneeling in shame. He's kneeling in honor. Trump slams his fist. Honor comes from victory. But even his voice lacks bite now. The world has seen too much. Soon a formal letter arrives, from Ibrahim's office to the U.S. president. It's not political, not accusatory, just one paragraph. Leadership is not bruised by humility. It is shaped by it. If the boy who insulted me can leave with love in his heart, perhaps the men who raised him can meet me with open hands. There is no response. But behind closed doors, even Trump rereads the letter, twice. And in a rare private moment, alone in the Oval Office, he whispers to himself, Sit down, kid. He stares out the window. For once, he doesn't look powerful. He looks small. 2 weeks later, a special event is broadcast globally from the capital of Burkina Faso. A small podium, no red carpet, no gold seal, just a microphone and a hand-carved chair. Ibrahim Traoré steps forward. Behind him, Barron Trump. Silent, respectful, hands folded. The entire world watches. Over 350 million people tune in. Ibrahim speaks. A boy once stood on a global stage and mocked me, not because he was evil, but because he was uninformed. That same boy now stands behind me, not as a follower but as a student. He pauses. You see, leadership isn't in titles. It's in tears shed quietly, in lessons learned late, and in hands held across oceans. The audience is still. Barron steps forward. His voice trembles. I don't deserve applause. I only ask that you don't remember me for what I said, but for how I chose to change. A child in the front row begins to cry. Then a woman, then many. Not because of shame, but because for once, the world saw something real. Something it forgot it needed. Redemption. A month later, Barron Trump returns to Yako, alone this time. No press, no security detail. Just a small black backpack and a journal. The people remember him. This time he walks to the school without being led. He greets the students in French, broken but honest. They cheer. He sits among the children on the dirt floor, writing their names into his notebook. He reads their stories, laughs with them, cries with one. Then he walks back to the grave with no name. He kneels there in silence and takes something from his pocket. His Trump family's signet ring. He buries it beneath the wooden cross, then whispers, "Your dignity gave me mine." The village elder watches from afar, then walks up to Barron and hands him a folded piece of paper. It reads, "Now you may stand." And for the first time in a long time, Barron stands, not taller, but truer. And Ibrahim, standing far away near the horizon, watches in silence, smiling. The world doesn't expect another broadcast, but it comes. A surprise live stream, simple set, wooden table, no logos. Captain Ibrahim Traoré sits with Barron Trump beside him. The message, not for power, not for politics, just for people. Ibrahim begins, "I once told a boy to sit down, not to silence him, but to give him space to listen. Today, that boy sits beside me, not because of who his father is, but because of who he chose to become." Barron looks into the camera. If you've ever mocked someone weaker, or spoken before you understood, you're not alone. I did. And I thought that made me strong. His voice breaks. But strength is in service. Dignity is in learning. Ibrahim nods and says, "This world does not need louder leaders. It needs better listeners." The broadcast ends without fanfare, but the comment section floods with tears, praise, and the same line, "Sit down, kid," became the moment that helped us all stand up. And across thousands of homes, people hug a little tighter, speak a little softer, and finally see dignity, not as weakness, but as light. 5 years later, a school in Burkina Faso unveils a mural. On the left, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, standing with arms folded, calm and powerful. On the right, Barron Trump, kneeling beside a barefoot child, handing him a pencil. Between them, painted in bold white letters, "Strength isn't born, it's built. Together." That image becomes a symbol across schools, churches, refugee centers, and even Wall Street buildings. Not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. Ibrahim never spoke of the insult again. Barron never returned to politics. But something shifted. A generation of young people, across race, nation, and religion, began to say, "I'd rather be like Ibrahim." And in the end, one sentence broke pride. One heart rebuilt peace. One boy sat down and helped the world rise. Dear viewer, if this story moved you, if it made you think, reflect, or even cry a little, please like this video, comment, "Dignity wins" below if you believe the world needs more leaders like Ibrahim. And don't forget to subscribe, because stories like this are more than entertainment. They're a reminder of who we can become if we just pause and listen. Thank you. Let's stand up together.